Okay, so for this video, we're going to be doing sine and cosine ratio. So, last time we did tangent, and tangent was opposite over adjacent. Both of these are going to be over the hypotenuse. So now we're going to be using the diagonal measurement. Okay, so for sine, okay, or for short, SIN, okay, of A is the opposite over the hypotenuse. So of A, we go to the opposite, and then it's going to be over the diagonal, which is the hypotenuse. Cosine is the adjacent, so the one closest to it, and then over the hypotenuse. Okay, so let's work through some together. So find the ratios. So sine of t, so we know sine is the opposite over the hypotenuse. So of t, we're going to go opposite, which is 8. Let me use actually a different color for you guys. Let's do red. 8 over, okay, the hypotenuse, which is 17. So 8 over 17. We look to see if we can simplify that, and we can't. Okay, let's go to B. Cosine of t. Cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse. So cosine of t, so adjacent would be 15 over the hypotenuse, which is 17. Okay, hypotenuse is always long diagonal. Okay, next we have sine of g. So we go to g, we're going to go sine, which is opposite, which is 15 over adjacent. So 15 over 17. 17 is a prime number, so we're not going to be able to simplify. Okay, now the cosine, which is the adjacent over the hypotenuse. So we go to g, and the adjacent would be 8 over 17. Okay, just like that. Let's move on to the next one. Remember, you can pause the video so you can copy anything down. Okay, so number 2, find the value of x. So we're going to be finding it. So we need to see if we're going to be using sine or cosine. So we're not given the adjacent, okay? So I'm going to use the opposite over hypotenuse. So this is sine. So sine, right, of 21 is equal to opposite x over a hypotenuse, okay, 12. So now I'm solving for x. So I'm going to multiply by 12 to both sides. So I have 12 times sine of 21 is equal to x. So now I just multiply this in my calculator. 12 times sine of 21, which I get is 4.3. So 4.3 is equal to x. Okay? Next one, we're still finding the value of x, but now we're given the adjacent, not the opposite. So this one's going to be cosine. Cosine of 35 is equal to the adjacent, which is x, over the hypotenuse, which is 5. Okay? So we're solving for x, we're going to multiply by 5 to both sides. So I have 5 times the cosine of 35 is equal to x. Okay, so 5 times the cosine of 35 is 4.09, so we'll round that to 4.1. Exactly how you see it here is exactly how you type it into the calculator. Okay, let's move on to the next one. Last two. So we have to find the measure of angle J. And then we're going to be finding the measure of angle I. So the measure of J. So J is here. I'm given the opposite and the hypotenuse. So again, this is going to be sine of J. It's going to be the opposite, 6.5, over the hypotenuse, which is 10. Okay. So we just do 6.5 divided by 10, which is 0.65. Okay. And then remember that we're going to take, when we're finding the measure, we're going to use sine -1. So you're using the inverse of this one. So inverse of 0.65. So sine -1 of 0.65. Close the parenthesis, hit equal, and it's 40.5. So we're going to round this one to 41 degrees. So it's 40.5, and we're going to round to 41 degrees. Okay, so the measure of angle J is 41 degrees. Okay? Last one, measure of angle I. So we're given the adjacent, so cosine of I is the adjacent 3 over 6. Okay, I can simplify this. I divide both sides by 3 and I get 1/2. 1 divided by 2 in the calculator is 0.5. Okay, so now I'm using the inverse of cosine. I'm going to plug in 0.5 to find the measure of angle I. So cosine, so you hit second and cosine, negative, and then we're putting 0.5. Okay, hit equal, and it says 60. So this is 60 degrees. So the measure of angle I is 60 degrees. Okay, remember you can pause the video, play the video as many times as you need, and send me any emails if you have any questions.